Turn it on. All right, the flag salute, please. Remove your hats, we got them. I pledge allegiance to the flag we're gonna do a little different tonight. We got a swearing in tonight. You wanna come on up here, Amanda? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. Should be this one.
No, you're doing a certificate of appointment.
Okay, you're doing the oath also. Okay, so go, she needs to repeat this after me and then, okay, certificate of appointment. The mayor of the city of Toledo. You're supposed to say that, well, when I say, you say. You got it? No?
I don't think so.
Just repeat what you said.
Oh, okay. I
Just-
was told I repeat the,
No, just follow this direction.
okay.
This is gonna get good. The mayor of the city of Toledo,
Mayor of the city of Toledo,
Lewis County, state of Washington,
Lewis County, state of Washington,
reposing confidence in Alamina Javier, is that how you pronounce it?
Almadina Jabor.
Alamina Javier of Toledo,
Reposing confidence in Almadina Jabor of Toledo,
in said county and state,
said county and state,
does hereby constitute
does hereby constitute
and appoint her to the position
and appoint her to the position
of lateral police officer,
of lateral police officer
city of Toledo,
in the city of Toledo,
Washington, until revoked by me,
Washington, until revoked by me,
which appointment shall thereafter
which appointment shall thereafter
cease and be null and void,
cease and be null and void,
and testimony whereof
in testimony whereof
I hereunto set my hand this 21st day of August 2023.
I have hereunto set my hand this 21st day of August, 2023.
Thank you. Here we got another one.
So it's my great honor to go ahead and swear in our first employee, lateral police officer for the Toledo Police Department. So raise your right hand and state your name. I state your name.
Almadina Jabor,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
and honor the Constitution of the United States of America,
and honor the Constitution of the United States of
Bill
America,
of Rights,
Bill of Rights,
law enforcement code of ethics,
law enforcement code of ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a sworn police officer,
as a sworn police officer,
law enforcement and MIW ally
law enforcement and MIW
of
of
the city of Toledo,
the city of Toledo,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and carry out faithfully,
and carry out faithfully
impartially,
and partially
the duties of my office,
the duties of office,
so help me God Creator.
so help me God creator.
Congratulations. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, now accept the motion to accept the consent agenda for the regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. I'll say it.
Second,
I'll second it.
it's been moved and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. First on the agenda, department reports. Dwayne, we go with department report, please.
So my department report will be forthcoming on the first of the month. There's really not a whole lot to add at this point, other than this right here, which I think is sufficient for today. Thank you.
Okay. Public Works, Mike.
Hello, everyone. So we finished up the rock and the street projects that we had on Ash and Old Street. We did the behind the fire department here. We have health service scheduled to come in and do our wet well, to clean it and all that stuff. His truck would not do the job. So we had to reschedule for this week on Thursday. We have all out sewer coming up to do that. In the meantime, Joanna Jones, Emily and myself met with the Economic Alliance of Lewis County to look into the grant for the water line that's down to the forest. It's exposed, it's kind of a problem, so they agreed maybe to help us out and try to work on that and get that grant, so that's a bit of good news there. So also we'll do some smoke testing on Wednesday over at the grade school to make sure that their gutters are not put into our sewer for ionized problems. One thing that we're trying to do to straighten that out. Let's see, reminder, the September 14th will be the chip seal. I know some people were wondering about that. So it'll be the 14th, that's when it's scheduled. Hopefully it will be on time, depends on the contractors and how it goes. I assume they'll be on time. And also we had a meeting with Toledo Cal for the water tower and the well up on their property. Still kind of up in the air. They're still kind of decide what they want to do. We had Mike Johnson, mayor, myself, Travis from Windsor was there in this Zoom meeting. So still a lot of questions. They're still kind of working on everything to get all the details worked out. So we'll know more later when they decide what they're going to do. So other than that, that's what I got.
Is there any questions for Mike?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead, Emily. I'm good.
The clean out, in changing vendors, did that change the price on
No.
it? Okay.
Since the school is going to be annexed into the city, will they subsequently connect to our sewer?
They already are.
Okay, when you're smoke testing, what are you smoke testing?
No, we're smoke testing down here at the grade school.
Oh, I see.
Let's see. I made a contact today.
Perfect.
I know, up in Kent. It was the fellow who is not the superintendent, but the fellow who works just below him for the Public Works of Centralia. And he went to school with John.
Uh-huh.
So, he might be a good fellow to, be in contact with in the future, I'm sorry. Anyway, the AWC Public Entity Safety 2023 Benefit Forum is something I want you to keep on your radar.
Okay,
That's something that they were really pushing at the budget conference. And I really would like our Public Works to attend. I think it could put a lot of things on your radar, seeing as we're a small city.
sure.
It could really put, I think, some things.
So
on the
there's
table.
one east, but there's also one in Marysville.
Yeah, so whatever
So,
one you would
I'll
like
have
to,
Rachel set it up.
yeah, but just, I think that would really benefit us as a city.
Sure.
And
Any
then
information like that.
the other thing that, I was looking at that they, thought to do was, when was the last time we updated our vendor list?
Oh, we do that every year. Usually, if anybody comes to town,
Right, okay,
they sign up for the small works rosters that we're talking about.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, but it's updated constantly when people send it in.
Yeah. We don't hire anybody for the city unless they are on that list.
yeah, okay,
So,
thanks.
Thanks, Mike. Clerk's office, Kira?
Winlock has everything for court services. There's some ordinances that need attending to finish up this transition. General nuisance letters are still being delivered. Billing, 40 people owed more than $40 on their utility bill. They got late notices out and put door tags up on Thursday. A couple people owed over $1,000. Mostly due to issues with the mailing address or contact info we have on file. And I've been updating account info consistently to get bills to the right person and place. There were a few issues with move-in, move-outs that were done before I came on. I'm getting them fixed now. People seem to be enjoying the convenience of Doxo, and we're getting a substantial number of deposits through that system. And our next goal in the office is to clean up and organize so that, and digitize most things. Paper files will be filed on the server, and it'll help with the overall organization of the office. The next two are
Go ahead, Rach.
yours.
Wait a minute. Is there any questions for Kara?
Yes,
Go ahead.
the, late notices or shut off notices that were sent out, were any of those impacted by the billing difficulties?
No. No, a lot of them were people that, we had about 5 or 6 people that just haven't paid since Jill and Devin left, and I
Yeah.
think those were probably people that were continuously late. Billing's been going out to everyone. The only billing issue that we really had was people being charged for sewer that weren't on sewer. And that happened when we switched over to Harmony and something went wrong in the system. It wasn't anything that Jill or Devin or that me or anyone in the office did. It would just had something to do with that switch over to Harmony. And they were being charged sewer, which Devin pretty much fixed most of that when she left, but for some reason it just wasn't, it wasn't taking in Vision's end. So those were the only real billing issues that we had. So the people that were getting these notices are people that just haven't been paying.
She said.
Rach, could you come up to the microphone up here too, on yours?
Oh, I don't really have much. I just have I went to the budget conference, which went well. And then we have the workshop scheduled for this Thursday at 4 o'clock, which we will go over, what we plan to do with the ARPA money that's left, and just to kind of review the 2023 expenditure and, revenue reports, because they, I need to make some adjustments to them just because of the way things have been received. Michelle did come and work with me on,
Thursday?
I wanna say it was Thursday or Friday. No, it was Friday. And so there's a couple of things that were taken in. And I've gotta go back through and just kind of review receipts, but it does kind of put off our revenue and expenditure, reports for 2023. So I can answer any questions on that as to why they're not completely up to date. And again, just ARPA funds, so.
Is there any questions for Rachel?
Just a suggestion, you set the workshop for 4 o'clock on
Mhm.
Thursday. And, we should probably run it by the council because there have been members that have not been able to attend.
We did, we ran it, I think we ran it by council as far as times and. I think we sent out an email, so,
It was news to me.
yeah.
What kinds of questions would you like to have us come with?
Well, it's basically whatever you want to see happen with the ARPA funds. And I can just get into a little bit more detail on why the expenditure reports are not completely up to date. But I've also included in the packet the comparisons for 21 and 22 and 22 and 23, and that we will be setting a budget workshop for after that. But I just needed to kind of break out how the 2023 looked as far as, you know, things were taken in for fuel that might have needed to go to the police department, that they were just taken in as a basic fuel. So I have to go through and break that stuff down. So everything matches up for fuel. It's just not broken down into police department and public works, just stuff like that. So I'm sure you guys are gonna have questions, and I can go through the list with you guys and you'll see all the numbers add up. It's just, they're not all where they need to be right now.
Right.
So, and it's not something that I can fix before the budget needs to happen.
Right.
And so kind of just an explanation of it, because it's really confusing right now.
And the department heads and the, what's the word I want?
I sent it out to
The
council
inventory.
and. What do you mean?
The department heads and the inventory are all gonna be at that workshop.
What do you mean inventory?
Each department head is supposed to have an inventory.
I did not ask for an inventory. This is just a workshop on ARPA. So, and then it's on the 2023 reports. This doesn't really have anything to do with the budget. We'll set a budget workshop later. After this meeting.
Any other questions for Rachel? Thanks, Rachel. Okay, moving on to council reports. Emily, you're first up.
Well, I went to the AWC budget meeting as well, I met Rachel there. It was very informative. I learned a huge amount. I would suggest anyone who's on council to go to it as well, next year. I won't go into all of that. And then also, today I put myself into a, grant writing school, and I'm also going tomorrow. And that's highly informative as well. So I'm on a roll. There you go.
Okay. Eric,
Okay, so let's see, since last council meeting, I've been working on the financials details with the inspection, permitting and planning inspection ILA that's coming up. That was the thing we chose to carve off of Todd's time so that we could have a more reasonable budget for that. Working on that with Steve. Sorry if that's on your to-do list to say. And then also helping our District 3 state representative, basically just connecting people up for the town hall on Wednesday at 5:30, and then also for their Councilwoman Perez is gonna come look, is that right? Is gonna come look at our exposed water main. So it's one of our hot buttons, so maybe that'll be another way to work along with what you're doing to get us some funds to fix it. That's it.
okay, Rebecca,
Nothing to report.
nothing, Kathy?
No.
Jamie,
I have discontinued working on parks. Emily sent me an email that says she's running with it, and her husband, so I've discontinued work.
okay,
When's that up for submission?
September 18th is the last day. And Joe and I have also been in contact as well, so.
Great.
Yes.
all right, committee reports, please.
Yeah, if I can have Cindy come up. Cindy.
Uh-oh.
So I'll go ahead and read this letter of appreciation to Cindy. You gotta stand up. The city of Toledo and the city of Toledo Police Department would like to offer you this letter of appreciation, recognizing your service, dedication, and help as a volunteer to the community. Your dedication, service, and numerous hours of volunteer work has benefited the city of Toledo, the community, businesses, and the Toledo Police Department. Cindy, your willingness to help in any cause to help the city of Toledo run efficiently is greatly appreciated. Please accept this letter of appreciation on behalf of the Toledo Police Department, City Mayor Steve Dovish, and members of the Toledo City Council. Like to have Bill Lynn come up.
If you showered.
Marine show, I want to run So Bill, I'd like to give you a letter of appreciation here. The city of Toledo and the city of Toledo Police Department would like to offer you the letter of appreciation, recognizing your service, dedication, and help as a volunteer of the Community Crime Deterrent Program, also known as CCDP. The Toledo Police Department has designated you as a captain of the CCDP, and together we look forward to rolling out this program to make the community and business safer for its citizens and guests. Most recently, you have volunteered numerous days hand delivering letters to over 150 households within the boundaries of the city of Toledo. Please accept this letter of appreciation on behalf of the Toledo Police Department, City Mayor Steve Dovish, and members of the Toledo City Council. So quickly, we have some members here in the community that are gonna be part of this community crime deterrent program. We're gonna roll this program out tonight with an initial meeting. Scott is here and I think, Lucas is here. And there was one other person was volunteering.
Yeah, we're supposed to have Jim, we're supposed to have Randy.
Jim and Randy, and then, also, Jerry.
Yeah.
So we're gonna meet anybody wants to be involved in this, we're gonna meet probably at Chimmy's, and we're gonna talk about what the program is. And, the vision that we have for it and how we're gonna roll this out. So any volunteers in the community who want to be a part of it, you're welcome to come join us, today after the city council meeting. And Bill's gonna head that up, I'm just gonna be in the background cheerfully. So, thank you.
Thank you, chief. Okay, park board. Jim? Got nothing?
Oh, well, we started doing the cleaning. We started, some major cleaning going on. We've gotten all the bathrooms and the shower and everything all power washed down. Getting ready for our 23rd meeting, for the city and for the representative come out and have some time there. The Lions Club will be coming out in the afternoon of that day. And they'll be doing a little bit of police work and policing up, some of the other area that hasn't been taken care of. Other than that, everything seems to be moving along. We got a few repairs, which we're gonna have, because we've been slightly busier than usual, obviously over the last year or so. I have not had an opportunity to take a look and see what staff board reads, but I know that we're approaching that $10,000 mark that we can generate for the funds. So that's all.
Thank you, Tim. Planning commission, Steven, you're up.
As Eric mentioned, we're working with the city of Winlock with regard to the ILA and getting the services of their inspector to do plan check and building inspection so that we can start issuing our own building permits from the city here instead of going through the county. In addition, in public meeting, planning commission had a couple of issues that were brought to the table. One was with regards to an annexation request that the council asked public planning commission to look at. And after doing some research, what we determined was that the city would be far better off to seek an ILA with the county in which all of our UGA is brought under city control. And therefore the Annex C that was proposed withdrew their annexation request and is willing to wait and see what the ILA might do for them. Wenlock's UGA is also subject to an ILA, so their entire urban growth boundaries are covered under an ILA. And what that does, it allows you to control the development within that area. As it sits right now, those UGA parcels that are not in an annexation process are still governed by the county's rules, and typically they maintain a rather laissez-faire attitude towards it, but they can allow development per county standards. And it might be development that the city, which is ultimately going to annex the UGA, doesn't want to see happen. And so this puts that property under the guise of the city's ordinances and zoning restrictions. And ultimately, if that person decides to sell the property, that goes with them. And ultimately, the hope is that they become annexed to the city. From a property holder standpoint, nothing changes. If you don't wish to become part of the city, you don't have to. You don't have to act on the city's zoning guidelines as long as you're not planning to redevelop or subdivide. But inherently, down the road, it gives the property a much more value for heirs afterwards, once we leave the earth. Because it does allow that subdivision and, parceling, rather than the R5 or R20 that those parcels are subject to now. So our recommendation to the council was to pursue the ILA. I think it's in your minutes from our meeting. The annexation request was withdrawn, and I think that's where we sit.
Okay, thank you.
How do you precipitate pursuing the ILA process?
I'm sorry,
How do you precipitate pursuing the ILA process?
I asked Todd to.
Okay,
Good call.
works for me.
That's a forward planning issue, and that would be a Todd thing.
So do we need to address anything on council?
Ultimately, the city will need to contact and will have to agree to an ILA that will be drawn up by, I assume, city attorneys. There are plenty of cities out there that within Lewis County that have ILAs with the county. And so I'm sure that we could bob them up their language to facilitate what we want to accomplish.
Okay, thank you, Stu. Water, sewer and streets. Mike, you got anything else to add?
Not really.
Not really, okay. Public hearing none, special presentations none, public comments on agenda items. Rachel, is anybody signed up for comments?
Not on agenda items, no.
Okay, moving on to new business. Lateral police officer, Amina Chavez swearing in, we did that. So we need the council's approval.
Yes, sir.
I'll accept the motion to approve that. From the
I
council,
motion to approve the new officers signing in, swearing.
Say
second,
it. I'll
moved
second
in,
that.
moved in second, any more discussion? Let's vote on it, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is a resolution 263A. Bank signatures, we just need a motion for it, correct, Rachel?
It's the new resolution.
I'll move that we accept the resolution 263A on bank signatories.
I'll second this motion.
It's been moved in second, any more discussion?
Yes,
Go ahead.
I will repeat, as I have in the past more than once, that the person who issues the checks should not be a signatory on the account.
Rachel, do you want to tell us what?
Yeah, so the way that this is supposed to go is, I'm correct that I'm not supposed to be signing the checks. There is the two signatures on there. I would only be signing checks in case of an emergency if there was not someone else here to sign, and that is the way Mossy Rock also does it. I believe that's the way Winlock and Napa will do it too. So that is why we got Steve on there, Kira's on there as the clerk. So when I, as the treasurer, would write a check for Gray and Osborne, Kira and Steve would sign that check. If for some reason one of them isn't here, it would go off to the next person on the list. And if for some case everyone was out sick, then I would be able to sign that check. But there is another signature required, so there's some kind of accountability there.
As I will continue, it doesn't include payroll checks.
I don't sign payroll checks.
Okay, and we have now added another signatory on the account. So I think there's enough choices to not have both office people as signatories. And that's my say on it.
Does that interfere with your ability to do your job?
Not at all. I think if there's an emergency and a check needs to be signed, I would sign it. Again, if it was just me signing the checks that I'm writing, I would not be okay with that. I don't want that kind of responsibility. I don't want that coming back on me. But being that there is someone else there to hold me accountable and to hold the city accountable, plus all the checks go in front of council, I'm willing to be a second signature on those checks in case of an emergency. So, and I'm not willing to sign payroll checks either, so.
Well, but this actually says all accounts.
No, it does not include payroll. The only person on the payroll account is Steve.
Well, then this is written incorrectly because it says all accounts.
Okay, yeah, it does not include the payroll account. So we can have that reworded, but it's not the payroll account or the LGIP account either.
So is there any more discussion?
Can we get a, can
We
we get
had
a
a
motion to
motion.
amend the motion?
Yeah.
I don't feel I should make it.
Are we voting on the motion for the resolution 263A, the bank signatures, correct?
With the amendment that it will not, it will state that it's not.
Well,
the
if you
payroll
vote, if you
accounts.
vote no on this, then we bring it up for another motion of some sort to revise it or whatever you wanna do, amend it, add to it. You wanna do it that way, or you wanna now?
We can just amend it and vote on the whole thing.
Correct.
Okay, go for the amendment.
How do you word that?
Kathy, you wanna help?
Uh,
I'm listed on here, so I
Yeah,
don't feel I
right,
should be.
right. Okay, so it's
Make
the
a motion
mayor,
to approve resolution 263A with the amendment that it will state it's not the payroll accounts.
Or the,
okay,
Yeah, or the something else you
We
said.
can have a checks for that.
no,
Okay,
okay.
that was good.
okay, that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion on it? Let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Resolution 264A, city clerk contract. Same thing, I'll need a motion for that.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 264A, city clerk contract.
Here's a second,
I'll second it.
moved in second, any more discussion?
Yeah, I left my glasses at home, so I don't know which article it is, but I think it's 9. About outside work.
That's mine, yes.
And when I worked for state government, excuse me, we actually have to report any outside work activity. I had to report that I was on city council so that they can determine if there is no conflict of interest.
And it says that in there. The understanding that the arrangements shall not constitute interference with nor a conflict of interest with responsibilities under this agreement.
Right, but there's no stipulation that they report what their work is. That's my concern there. Is that there should be a process
Report back to the.
whereby we review what the work is so that we can determine if there's a conflict of interest.
Well, isn't that when we do the hiring? Isn't that in the process? Isn't that when the, I don't know, 5 people who got together? Isn't there a booklet
No.
that?
This would be ongoing.
I think this is also, we're supposed to be voting on the resolution of Picture as part of my misunderstanding it here, because the contracts were actually written by Buzzard. So I think it's more just the resolution to add Kira as clerk, because there needs to be a resolution for these positions, like the contracts that are supposed to be necessarily in question. I think it's just the resolution, and we added the contracts just for review. So that's, I don't think that's the voted on, unless I'm mistaken.
No, we've got both. The
No,
resolutions have already been passed,
Yeah,
but
the
the
ordinance has been
contracts are
passed.
now being reviewed and voted on.
That was my understanding, but okay.
And in both contracts, there's nothing that says they have to disclose who their outside employment is. And that should be part of it. It just prevents any conflict of interest that's gonna come back on the city.
Is there any more discussion? Let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
We're voting on the resolution.
We're voting on the resolution 254A, city clerk contract.
So you're recommending a term on this document, on these documents?
No, I'm recommending in Article 9 that they disclose what their outside employment is, so that the council can review it and determine if it's a problem.
Is this something you can do without making the turn with the lawyer? Maybe you could add a sentence. So,
Okay.
so we need to push
We can
these.
have that.
So we need to push these.
So,
Do we need to table this?
Yeah.
Well, we table this one, we might as well table the treasurer one too.
Yep.
Okay, both resolutions, 264A, city clerk contract, and the 265A, city treasurer contract will be tabled till next meeting. I don't have any other new business, unfinished business, other business, public input. Joanna,
Sorry, I didn't put my name down on the list, but, I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the grants. Yeah.
well, it's the people on you, it's the people on YouTube,
Yeah.
the people on YouTube need to see you.
Okay, just a little more information on the city water line grant. That was already spoken to about your, public works director. Because we do not have, matching funds, this is a 2-grant process to, rectify the problems with the water line. So old, it's bad shape. So it's an emergency community water assistant grant that would be our match, number 1. The second one would be through the Washington State Department of Commerce, connecting housing to infrastructure program. It's called CHIP for short, water, sewer, and stormwater for affordable housing, because we're going to have housing connecting into that. We now qualify to obtain that grant. We will not be writing the grant. I will not be writing the grant. This is something that, through this exploratory meeting that we had with Emily, myself, and Mike Fisher, the outcome was that the Economic Alliance, who has a grant writer, they would write the grants, both of those grants for us. They would also manage the grant, which means all the paperwork that they have to obtain for it, that would be up to them. And they would include the cost in that for them to do that. So it would be really beneficial to the city. We don't have to do anything to obtain that funding. So it's not gonna take any hours away from your staff. It's not gonna cost us anything to do that. It's not a definite that we'll get that funding, but it's a professional grant writer who does this all the time, and it's through, you know, the backing of the Economic Alliance. So
Do you know
that's
what
gonna
the-
be really beneficial.
Do you know what the time frame is on that?
I haven't really checked into that with all the other grants that's going
Okay.
on. But I believe it's this fall. I wanna say it's October, wasn't that what we kind of?
Okay.
I wanna say it's October, so she had some time, she said, to get ready for it.
So we might be able to add the representatives a letter, so she'll be out here on the ninth
Definitely.
to look at it. So
Yes.
maybe that'll, okay.
Yes,
The more of
and
those,
Mike
the
has
better.
pictures that are really eye-opening on the condition of that pipeline and how desperate this really is. We thought we were putting in, let's say, for this grant earlier, we were not included in this grant. And it was for 1.25 million, so 1,250,000, so, that's
Before
gonna be
you
the
go
cost,
past that one,
right?
the accounting on this, is Rachel going to receive
She will
information?
receive everything. She will
Okay.
be the contact person for the city, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll receive some contact, and you probably will as well too,
Yeah,
because
but
they,
she's gonna be the main person. so
Yes,
that
she is.
All the accounting goes to her, so that
yes,
all the
Yeah.
money,
all the money. all the
everything,
accounts,
all the receipts, everything goes to
Right.
her, so that
and she
when that
will-
audit comes up, bam,
she
we
will
know.
be in direct contact
We won't be in trouble.
with this gal.
Yeah.
Having a moment where I can't remember her name, it's too many. So the second one grant that's in the pipeline, and actually is in the pipeline, is the City Hall Assessment Grant for the structural assessment. I received the paperwork, and it is, I'm just gonna let you know, a mountain. I've tried to get us some exceptions, some waivers, and we were denied all of those, so I have to fill out all the paperwork, even though it does not apply to us. So that they can tell me it does not apply to you, so you don't have to comply. So that's going to be, my next step is through the Department of Archaeology. We are not doing any ground disturbing things, so I think that will go fairly fast. And then it goes on to an assessment through the tribe. It's by law now. It wasn't something before that we used to have to do. It was optional. But now we are completely, we have to do it. And I unfortunately will have to work with Rachel more to find out some other documents that we're going to need that I just don't know about, who are insurance risk management, I believe. Yeah, so hopefully I will take all of the stuff and then just turn it over to you so that you're in the loop and everything. Okay, so do as much of that as I can. The third one is the RCO Parks grant. Okay, unfortunately, it's going to take more work from Rachel than I had anticipated. We have to set up a Prism account, and that has to be you, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah, and that's the second one, so that, I don't know if we have that already. We do, okay, so do you have a Prism account too?
Bruce Hall, I believe we do.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Okay.
If you want to check with me tomorrow.
I will absolutely do that. And so we need to get together and decide exactly what projects we're going to pass through.
Okay.
So that will need a meeting with whoever you feel is necessary. That grant has to be in by September 15th, so we have to get rocking and rolling on that.
The sooner the better.
Yeah, yeah, and it's got, I don't think it's gonna be too horrible, you know, because I think some of the things that are gonna be tier 2, we have months, they can't be done until 2024. And so anything that's ground disturbing, so if we want playground equipment, that's ground disturbing.
I think the kitchen and.
Right, so we have to have a figure on that, on how much we're gonna ask. Those are all going to have to go through the Department of Archaeology. And so that's a 2024. So we have time to get all of that ready and do that. Any of the tier 1 activities that might be, I don't know, say we want some equipment, we can get equipment through this also. And I know that we do need some park equipment. That would be a tier 1 and not ground disturbing. So that would be something that we could apply for 2023. All has to be applied under one grant, but they divide it into 2 different sections so that everybody knows what's going on with this. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm sure I will, but we need to have a meeting. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be confusing. Let me just say that right off the bat.
For sure.
Government stuff, it's gonna be confusing.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joanne.
Oh, one last thing. I'm also looking for Mike Fisher and for the city at Department of Ecology EPA grant for drought assistance. The city needs to have a leak detection system. They've been borrowing it. Mike sent me a picture of it and I'm going to look up the information on that. I don't know how much that is. It's kind of a small, it looks like a piece of pipe with some letters on it. But anyway, apparently it's something. I don't know how much it is, but I would also like to see about in that grant, if we can apply for the aging pumps that we have. We don't even know how old they are. My understanding is the 80s. We're gonna have new housing coming on there, and under drought, I think I can come up with some verbiage that connects that they, you know, that we need to have this in case of a drought. Those pumps would be overstressed. So, all right, so I think,
I
if there's a
agree.
fire, I guess I'm not saying drought, but we have drought conditions here, and if there is a fire.
I
we
agree
need
with
to-
the pump situation, Joanne. I talked to Mike before about it.
Yeah,
And if we run those pumps at max, we're gonna blow them up.
yeah,
Because they're so old that they're not gonna be able to handle it. We do have 2 wells up there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. We still got 2 wells that are pumping really good.
yeah,
But if we run them up to max, we're gonna burn them up.
But future, I mean, we don't know how many hours, we don't know.
yeah.
Right.
And I will get with Mike, I'm checking into that one, I don't know, what I think it's a revolving, which would be wonderful, means that there's no set date. But I have to check into it, it's quite involved, but also too, we have pipes that are 4 inches.
Yeah.
And we would like to go to 8 inches,
Yep.
obviously, in the case of a fire, 4-inch pipe's gonna be, you know, not beneficial.
No,
And I learned that you can write your salary into a grant. You just have to approximate I'll
how much? Yes,
Yes.
administrative.
Mhm,
and project
administrative,
management.
yes. Mhm,
We have to call it something other than
Yes.
salary and
mhm,
wages.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, so it's possible.
Well, you're right, you got the right verbiage, Joe.
Mhm.
Got a lot of trouble.
Thank you.
Articulation.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Salary for this, by the way, I'm volunteering.
Not yet.
So you know.
Okay, that was a lot to absorb right there, but she did a good job. Thank you, Joanne, again. Any other public input? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I want to speak.
Oh, we have another public comment, yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. Sorry about that.
Can I stand here or go there?
You gotta stand right close to the microphone, right there.
Actually, you're fine right there.
Basically, yes, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the city employee, I guess, anyway, he came around with a handout, and I read it, when I get confused. First off, it says, offensive. Who decides what's offensive?
Well, our public works guy,
Pardon me.
our public works man that drives around the city could obtain that.
Well,
What do you think is offensive?
well,
I can address this.
pardon,
I can address this if you'd like. I can talk to you about what we're trying to do.
This is the nuisance letter, right?
okay.
Yeah, this
What
is,
What I'm worried about is what's offensive to some people and not offensive to others. I get offended by language. Foul language, others aren't. But
okay, so we're not talking about language, we're talking about property that has a lot of like old outdated like cars and stuff hanging out. We're talking about garbage, we're talking about, you know, people with dead hide skins hanging that smell. That's what we're talking about. We're also talking about your lawn, and these are all city ordinances that have been passed, and they've been on the books. Everything that we're citing is legal. And so what we've done as a courtesy is we sent out a letter, and that's what the Community Crime Deterrent Program did. They sent out a letter, hand delivered it. So everybody has 30 days if their area is not up to par to take care of that. Then after 30 days, then we'll start taking the next step in the process. So nobody's being singled out. This went out to everybody, including the mayor. He got a letter. He can attest to that. So we don't want to think, we don't want you to think you're being singled out because you're not. This is a group effort to go ahead and clean up the city of Toledo and bring it into compliance.
but still offensive is a kind of an illusion.
Yeah, so you have a Fourth Amendment right, you have a First Amendment right, a Second Amendment right on what you deem as offensive.
And me, but not to the neighbor who.
And we're not talking about language, we're just talking about cleaning up.
Now, the next one is vegetation.
The what?
Vegetation,
Vegetation.
Right, so we're talking about the lawn.
all right, but it says growing, permitting, allowing to growth of grasses, weeds, and other vegetation.
That's correct, that's a city ordinance.
My wife planted flowers, and some of them are sunflowers, and they're 6, 8 foot tall. That's vegetation.
Sir, we're not gonna have any, that's not part of what we're talking about.
Well,
So you're reading way too much into this. I'll tell you what, I will come to your house and I will look at your property, and then I will let you know if there's anything of concern to alleviate your
but
concerns.
what I'm saying is that, you know, what I'm trying to get through is that we're giving things to interpretation of individuals, not something that someone can go in and say, this is vegetation or this is not vegetation. It plainly says, or other vegetation. It doesn't say, well, if it's flowers, it's not vegetation. If it's a-
That's not the intent of the letter, and I think it's common sense applies, and I think that would be something that the city council and the mayor will come in agreement on. I think you're fine. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Well. But sometimes we find ourselves in problems because maybe the neighbor gets upset because my wife grows sunflowers. And
We've never had any complaints about anybody growing sunflowers.
I'm not talking about today's complaints, I'm talking about the arbitrariness of the law. It's very arbitrary as to what vegetation
your interpretation of the education, is maybe the same as mine, or maybe it's different.
These city ordinances were passed before I got here, so we're just
Well-
barely enforcing them as well.
And this is the first time I know anything about it,
Sure,
but, it does.
I think you're gonna be fine.
It does leave a tremendous amount of interpretation.
So we're just here to reassure you that I think you're fine. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Well, I'm not worried about myself. I don't think anyone will come by and complain about the flowers, but someone could read this and say, you gotta get rid of those. And according to this,
No, that's not the intent of the letter. No,
pardon?
that's not the intent.
Well, that maybe it's not the intent, but the reading of this ordinance say that it's illegal.
If you had a neighbor that was disgruntled and wanted to complain about their next door neighbor creating some idea of a nuisance, wouldn't they have to come to Public Works or the city or someone to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Come to
then,
the city.
and it would be common sense from a group.
Individual interpretation.
It won't be an individual interpretation.
No.
That's what we're trying to tell you.
Coming to council.
Yeah.
It would not be an individual interpretation. That's not the intent of the letter.
I think it's a fire, that's specifically a fire safety.
Fire?
That's specifically a fire safety item, because 4 foot tall grass is in town becomes.
But that's not what it says.
But that's the intent, and if somebody was to complain, they would have to bring it to the city, it would be a group.
So I think we're fine. You have nothing to worry about, sir. I'm reassuring you, everything's fine. But thank you for your time.
I am not worried, but it worries me when things are looks kind of hazy. Maybe the fog is moving in and.
Well, the language of the law is somewhat hazy.
That's right.
It is. And so in order to write letters, we sometimes have to be somewhat hazy in our language. So, sorry about that.
But I really apologize for using up your time, but I do think it's a not just a local problem, but it's a nationwide interpretation. What offends me doesn't offend someone else. Someone else gets offended because
Okay, sir,
I talked to them.
you've had 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
I second that
motion.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it. Dwayne, do you want to sign?
Yeah, she's got a sign.
I hear you're moving the Vader. Yeah, I just. Oh, you did? Yeah.
So I need you to,
I grew up in Vader. Yeah.
I'll need you to print your name here, sign your feet out here. Sign here.
We have to deal with that. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for trying to hurt them.
Oh, yeah.